Hello lovelies, this is Dinh, author of Wrapped in Sin. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe below. If you're an existing subscriber, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to make a s'more ice cream cone, cupcake, and carrier. There's a lot of items that you'll need for this project today, but I assure you that the end result will amaze you. So let's get started. 1 box of cake mix. I like Duncan Hines, but you can pick whichever type that you prefer. And you want to get whatever ingredient that is required on the back to make the cake. This one only requires oil and egg and water. Also gonna need some candy milk. This is the Wilton brand, which I love. You can pick any color you like, but the one that I'll be working with today is the white vanilla, the pink vanilla, and of course the chocolate. Need some sprinkles. And some type of frosting. I just went ahead and grabbed the Pillsbury vanilla, which was what was available at the time. You'll need something on top of the ice cream cone that resemble like a little cherry. You can probably use M&M's, red ones, Ciclet candies. They're a little sweeter, but I couldn't find those. I just found these little sour balls. They were at the local grocery store, and it seems to work. You'll also need peanut butter, some mini marshmallows, chocolate morsel, some aluminum foil, a pen, an X-Acto knife, some cooking oil for the cake mix, a mixer, of course a mixing bowl, a spatula, some spoons. You'll need about 3 of them. For the candy melt, also some form of a knife for baking the cake, some wax paper, large muffin tin pan of glassware for the candy melt, type of box to carry the ice cream cone cupcakes in. I just happened to come across this particular box from Panera. It's one of their catering box, which was awesome, and I will transform this into something beautiful. It even has little handles, which is perfect. And then you'll need some type of other box to fit inside of your main box. I got these little FedEx small boxes. They are actually like perfect. You can probably get something similar to this type of box at the post office or UPS. The most important ingredient is the ice cream cone. So I happen to come across these with the fun colors that I'll be using today, but you can pick whichever type of ice cream cone you prefer. Particular project, I picked the one that has a flat surface on the bottom and not the one that is shaped into a cone. Also need some type of little lid or something round shape that is about 4.5 centimeter wide for the project. Also some tape. So we'll need some type of wrapping paper. Pick whatever pattern you happen to like. Let's get started. What we're going to go ahead and do is bake the cake. Oops. What we're going to go ahead and do is start with the cake first. You want to set the oven according to this is 350. Cake mix, it requires 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 3 large eggs, 1 cup of water. There are 2 9-inch pans, so I'm going to go ahead and grease that with the bit of flour to coat over the pan before we add the cake mix in it. Okay, this is what it looks like after being coated. And start on the cake mix. According to this instruction, we'll need 1 cup of water, 1/3 cup of oil, 3 eggs, go ahead and mix this for 2 minutes. Okay, you want to mix it until it's nice and smooth. We're going to scrape this off and then pour it into the pan. Be smashing the cake, it's not imperative for these cake mix to be spread out evenly among the 2 pans. The oven is set, and we're going to go ahead and bake it at 350 between 23 to 28 minutes. I believe in my oven it's going to be about 26, and you'll know when it's done when you take a toothpick and dip it in and it comes out completely clean. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is check to see if the cake is completely done by sticking a fork in it. Of course, you'll be doing this while it's in the oven. And if it comes out clean, that means it is complete and fully cooked. So now we're going to go ahead and just let it cool off and work on the ice cream cone next. I'm going to have the oven set at 350, and what we're going to do next is make the s'more out of the ice cream cone. I went ahead and pull all of the ice cream cone out of the box. I'm going to make some of them with peanut butter and some not due to allergies. Personally, I love it with peanut butter. I think it is delicious. So I'm going to do all of the one that is pink. Just get a scoop of peanut butter and spread the bottom, the inside of the cone. You can coat it generously or as little, whatever your preference is. I'm going to coat it like so, and then you're going to pile it with chocolate chips and marshmallows. Just alternate between the two. If you like a little bit more marshmallow, you put more of that in. If you like the chocolate chip, you put a little bit more of that in. Pack it down. And then you're going to wrap it in aluminum foil. I went ahead and pre-cut all of them. I went ahead and cut about 9.5 inches wide and by 12 for the aluminum foil. So this is what it looks like, and we're going to go ahead and wrap it. Keep it about here. You see that? And we're going to fold it over. Like so. And you don't want to put too much pressure on it because you don't want to crush the cone. What's going to happen is once you have it put in like this, you're going to place it inside of a muffin tin to bake it instead of laying it flat, because then all of the s'mores will kind of gooey and slide off to the side. This way it's set sitting up straight so that when we're ready to go ahead and dump the cupcake mound on top, it will be placed perfectly. So we're going to do some more. Okay, and then the rest, we're just going to make it plain s'mores, which you're just going to put a combination of marshmallows and chocolate morsels. I said before, you put in whatever you like more of. If you like more marshmallow, you put more marshmallows. If you like more chocolate morsels, then you put more of those. And once again, you want to pack it in there. Pack it in there like so, and then we're going to wrap. These are all wrapped up. I only could fit 12. I think I'll be able to do 18 of these cupcake cones. So I'll have to cook them in 2 batches. So this is what it'll look like in the muffin tin. And you're going to bake it at 350 for about 15-20 minutes. Give it enough time for the marshmallow and chocolate morsel to melt. Mine will probably run closer to 20 minutes. So cream cone is in the oven, cooking at about 18-20 minutes. We're going to work on the cake. You can get some parchment paper and empty out the cake. Get it out. Voila, look at that. Perfect. What we're going to do is take off the outer shell, top and bottom and sides. We don't want to mash that in with the actual cake. So you'll just get like a knife and just take off a top layer. We don't want any of this brown. We want all yellow. A cake does not need to be perfect, but it just needs to be clean of all the outer cake from top to bottom. And then we're just going to cut this up because we're going to go ahead and put it in a bowl to mash. This is what it looks like. Once the cake has been sliced up, we're going to go ahead and smash it. You're going to get the frosting. I just took plain vanilla, and you'll need a spoon and probably put 2 to 3 scoopful to moisten it up. I'm going to start with 2 just to see. Usually that should do it. 2 generous heaping. Make sure you wear gloves. It's super messy. And then you're just going to smash it together like so. It's going to be kind of cake doughy like, which is what we want. To be something like this by the time it's done. Now that's with 2 scoops of frosting, which I think worked out really well. To do is take one of the existing cones that we'll be working with, unwrap that from the time when it baked and it's cooled completely. And it's a little tricky to get it out because the marshmallow will stick to the aluminum foil. So I took one of the cupcakes out. This is what it looks like melted, nice and s'more-y. Okay, so I'm going to use this as my template for the cupcake size on top. You'll need an ice cream scoop. This one is about 1.5 inches, 1.5 in diameter. Scoop the ice cream out. Roll it out, flatten it a little bit, because of the width of this, we want to make sure it fits completely. So I'll flatten it out just a little bit. Now if you want it taller, of course you can always add more cake dough. So I'm going to make it like that. So this will be like my template for each one. Put it in a tray and set it on parchment paper. And you're going to freeze that for 30 minutes. While we're waiting for that to freeze, we're going to move on to the next part of the project, which is to make the carrier. Was get this small size box, the FedEx, UPS, also the post office all have similar sizes. A box with the same exact dimension, you can use my exact template. If not, this will give you a general idea on how to make the carrier. This particular box is about 19.5 wide or long. 19.5 long. It is about 11.5 wide. And this whole entire small box will fit into it perfectly. Then I had to cut up another small piece to make up the difference. And this one was about 6.5 inches that you want to cut from the edge. I went ahead and used the lid of my Starbucks coffee, which happens to be the perfect size, which is about 4.5 centimeters across. Change the measurements if you're using a different size that will work for you, but if you're using my exact size, what I did was 1 inch from the edge, 1 inch from this edge, and it'll be 1 1/4 apart. Then 1 inch from this edge to trace the next one, and you keep doing that across. Then when you work your way down this way to make it even across the to try to make it look even across the box, I went ahead and did 1 1/2 inch there. And then once I traced that, I did another 1 1/2 inch there, and of course an 1 1/4 inch there. And you keep doing that until you fill it up. Now of course this edge here is not going to be 1 inch from the edge, but that's okay because it will connect with my other box. And when I measure it out, it's going to be about 1 1/4 inch apart when it connects together inside the box. Is to take the X-Acto knife and cut it out. Of course, you want to stick something in between the boxes so that you don't cut all the way through. I went ahead and took the excess of the box that I'm not going to be using, the other half, and I'm going to put that underneath this to help prevent it from cutting through. Knife and trace and cut it out the best you can. And it'll look like that. And you'll just keep doing it for all the rest. Okay, now that I'm done cutting out all of the holes, see how they are? It'll go like this. Okay, now that I'm done cutting the hole, it will line up something similar like this inside of the box. We'll take these two together and then wrap it with gift wrapping paper. I'm going to go ahead and cut this outer edge off on the end of this. I just want it to be like so. I don't want it to fold over just because then it'll interfere with the holes that we've already cut out. I'm going to go ahead and assemble the boxes before I gift wrap them. You can use any tape you want. I just want something a little bit more sturdy that'll hold it together so I know it won't come apart. So I'm just going to use some packaging tape. And assemble the box. And cut out all of the edging for this end where it will connect together. So it's going to look like this. And I'm going to do the same on the second half. I'm going to cut out that piece there. Well, actually, okay, so this is what it looks like. Both of these boxes, the big one where it's sealed on one side but the edge is a little bit cut off where the fold over is, and then I cut off all the trimmings of the edge on the other side, and then the other half where we'll connect, I went ahead and just cut off that edge at the bottom. And now we'll take these two together. Okay, this is how it's going to look. There should be 18, enough for 1 pack of the ice cream cone for it to fit into that outside box. And now what we're going to go ahead and do is gift wrap it. This is what it looks like. You're going to gift wrap everything. You don't have to do the bottom if you don't want to, but I went ahead and did it. It was just a lot easier for the gift wrapping. And so here's the tricky part. You can feel and maybe slightly see under the light of where the holes are, and that's where we're going to go ahead and take the X-Acto knife and slice the middle. This part is a little bit more tedious, but it does look prettier. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, and I'll start in the middle here, is just go ahead and take my X-Acto knife. I can kind of see the outlined a little bit under the light of where the circle is. You might not be able to see that on camera here, but just take the X-Acto knife and kind of cut the center of it right across. And you can kind of feel, when you take the knife, you can kind of feel where the hole kind of end, and I would just do it a couple of times. Slice it across, and then you see that? So there's a little hole there. What we're going to go ahead and do is cut that a few times, but I'm going to go ahead and slice it for all of them first. Be careful, you don't want to rip too far back because then you might tear the gift wrapping paper, but you want to do it just enough. Just make sure that once you hit the edge of the circle, that's where you stop. To show you one more time, and look for the circle and cut it down the center. Slice another piece there and there. So that's what it's going to look like until we cut some more. I find it easier to go ahead and just cut the corner a little bit on each of them. A lot, just a little. Something like that. And then what I'll end up doing is cutting little section, maybe 1 or 2 in each of the little cut that you've already got, so that when we go to fold it, it'll be easier. Now maybe there's an easier process than this, but this is what I'll be doing, and it works for me. So it'll be something like this. So to make sure you don't nip too much where you'll take too much of the gift wrapping paper off. And if you didn't nip it far enough, you can tweak it a little bit so that it folds a little bit easier. But that's how it's going to look once it's done. So piece of tape and just kind of tuck it in. That's why I say you want to trim this part a little bit, because then you don't have to reach so far back with the tape. You want to cut enough off so that when you stick the tape on, you don't have to go too far back, but you want the edges to be covered. What I do is I go ahead and lift the edges up, put a piece of tape, and then tuck under. Now if you don't care that it's covered, then you can probably just cut the hole right out. But alright, there it is, our little cupcake carrier or holder. So we're going to start on the next step of the cupcakes. We'll need this to store them on or transport them. It'll be a little bit easier versus it tipping over. Next step is we're going to melt the chocolate. to be able to dip the cupcake on top to secure it. It probably would stick okay with the marshmallow underneath, but I want to make sure that it's solid. So what you want to do is get the candy melt, do a small batch, something like this. Get a glass bowl or a microwavable bowl, and you want to nuke it for 30 seconds. It's going to be hot, so be careful. And what you want to do is just be able to hold it and work it through. And see, because it's only not a lot, it should melt semi-easily. And you just want to keep working it. You want to work it to where it's this real smooth consistency there. And then you'll put in a little bit more and microwave another 30 seconds. Okay, it's going to look like that after 30 seconds. And you're going to work it again. You're going to work it again until it melts smoothly. And if it starts thickening up and drying, or not drying, but thickening and harden, you just pop it back in the microwave for 30 seconds at a time. Until it's that smooth. You want to keep doing it until there's enough in the bowl for us to dip. We're going to add some more. And nuke it again for 30 seconds. While that is microwaving, we're going to go ahead and pull out the topper of the like out of the freezer. Be careful with the glass bowl as you take it out of the microwave. Each time it gets microwaved and nuked, it does get a little bit hotter. So be careful. Make sure you have a pot holder or some gloves. And you're going to go ahead and stir it around until it becomes a smooth consistency. And it will look like that. So what we're going to do is get one of these ice cream cone out of the foil. Like I said, be careful. The marshmallows have stuck to the top since we packed it in there pretty good. Now I probably might not need to do this part, but I like to make sure that the cupcake top sticks real well to the ice cream cone, so that's why we're going to go ahead and dip it and then freeze it. So what you're going to do is take the ice cream cone, the s'more ice cream cone, and dip it right into the glass. You want to dip it just enough so that it coats the edges, but not too far. Like that. See? And then you're going to take one of the toppers and place right on top. Like so. And we're going to freeze that and then put it in, of course, our lovely carrier that we made. And then this, once this is done, we're going to pop it in the freezer for 30 minutes. And melted some pink one, and I'm going to go ahead and dip the edges in pink. Just remember, whatever color you choose to dip it with, remember that's what color the top of your cone will be. Press it down, set it aside, and we're going to stick it all in the freezer in just a moment for 30 minutes. We're going to go ahead and coat the top of the ice cream cone. It's come out of the freezer. As you can see, the cake pop on top has attached itself to the ice cream cone. I went ahead and melted some more of the white candy melt that matches the rim. You're going to dip it right in like a dip cone. Let the excess drip. Set it back aside in the container. It can sit at room temperature to harden in about 15 minutes, or you can pop it back in the freezer for 5 minutes. If this hardens up before you can get to the others, just pop it back in the microwave for 30 seconds. Okay, and now that I have some of the pink ones, I'm going to go ahead and dip that. That just came out of the freezer. And you want to make sure that it's all covered. Let the excess drip off. Just like so. We're going to go ahead and let that harden up. Okay, now that it has freeze for 5 minutes, solid to the touch, you're going to go ahead and dip it in some chocolate candy melt, which I've already melted. And when you dip it, you don't want to dip it all the way like we did before. You want to dip it just enough, just to coat the top. You also want to have some sprinkles ready, and also that's candy for the top as a cherry, whatever you like. Red M&Ms, ciclet. I just happen to find these sour cherry balls, so that's what I'm using. Let the excess come off, and you'll need a bowl to catch the sprinkles, and also put the cherry on top. And voila! Is that just the cutest thing or what? Okay, we're going to continue with the others. And that can sit at room temperature, or you can pop it back in the fridge for 5 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do one that's pink. Same thing. Just coat it enough. Ready? And put a cherry on top. And there you go. Step to this is to cover the outside box with matching wrapping paper. So you want to measure both the outside and the inside. Up to you if you want to wrap the whole thing or just the sides and not necessarily the bottom. But the inside, you definitely want to gift wrap almost at least 3/4 of the way down. So when I'm done, I'll be back once I'm done covering this box. Alright, here is all of the s'more ice cream cone cupcakes in the little stand. I'm going to show you what it looks like inside of the exterior box, since that has now been wrapped up. Just so you can see, this is what the box will look like. I went ahead and covered the inside. I covered most of it. I did cover the bottom. It was just easier for me, but that's, you know, your own preference whether you like to do that or not. Isn't this stinking cute or what? It has the handle you can transport to your function or party or soiree. All you have to do is just get some saran wrap, cover the top to protect it from any bugs and dust and so forth. This can sit overnight. You can do this 1 to 2 days in advance. It does not need to be refrigerated. However, I advise that it need to be kept in somewhat of a cool room, even at room temperature. The candy melt has hardened really well, but it is chocolate and candy, so if the room is warm, there's that possibility of it may be melting a little bit or softening up, and all your hard work and effort is put into it. I would hate for that to happen, so it's best just to keep it in a nice cool room temperature. Please like this video and subscribe below. Once again, my name is Dinh, author of Wrapped in Sin. If you enjoy reading smutty comedy romance, please check it out. It is available at Apple iTunes, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other retailers. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye, my lovelies.